Alicia, and this time I want to say a couple of things about what it means to learn craft, what is that, and about who is in Litfield. And so I think I might talk about them in the reverse order, but I want to say a little bit about that. Whenever you start something, you don't really know what it's going to become. So it's kind of like having a child. You don't know who they're going to be. And I feel that way about the Litfield community, in that I didn't know who would join and what the flavor would be. And there's just so many unknowns. And so now that we're 6 months in, I feel that I can say a little bit about that. And what I have found is that it's a community of very thoughtful writers, mostly poets and poetry-focused people, and that there are some very powerful poems being written in that space. And I don't know if the word is surprised or just delighted by how serious and dedicated these writers are that I'm meeting through there, and what fine poems are being written. Some of them by people who thought they couldn't write a poem. So that happens too, that maybe they were a poetry appreciator and didn't realize that they could be writing poems, and really good poems themselves. So that's what Litfield has shown me in terms of who's there, that there's a very dedicated crew of folks that are writing, and that it's a pleasure to be teaching and being in that environment with them. So I just want to say that, and also a little bit about what it is to learn craft. And I think we think of craft as being purely about things like diction, syntax, line breaks, beats per line, what kind of adjectives we're using, all of those things that happen on the page. And that is true. And there's a lot to learn there about those different aspects of writing poems. But there's also a lot that happens off the page in terms of how are we noticing moments, what are we attending to, and how we are holding our lives differently off the page in order to salvage things and bring them to the page. I like to say that I think we write in order to salvage time, that there's a way in which we want to save or savor some of our experiences, whether they've been painful experiences or they're just fleeting moments of beauty. I think we want to make something of those and to offer them a place in the world where we can save them in some way, to revisit maybe the lesson we learned from an experience, or just how that experience felt for us, and we want to share that with others. And a poem is an amazing way to do that. I don't think there's anything else that holds the same role as poetry. That's my feeling and experience of that. And you gotta love what can happen in a poem, because it's the kind of stuff that we can't actually just say any other way. The poet Robert Hass once said, I took a workshop with him when I was just starting to write, and he said, there are no problems of writing poetry that cannot be resolved by reading great poems. And I think there's a lot to that. I think so much of the study is just looking at poems that move us and that shape us and that have changed us, and asking questions of those poems and their workings. And so we do a lot of that in Litfield too. We do close readings together once a month, where I do a deep read and share what I've discovered, and we have a Q&A. And then we do some of that again when we have the visiting poet come to our group, and we get to ask them questions and attend deeply to their work. So many of the questions we have about craft are addressed by our visiting poets who have been amazing at talking about their work, also generous in reading their work to us and just sharing about their process and other sometimes fun anecdotes and stories. Please feel free to ask us any questions, and Armando's email is included here if you want to reach out. Thanks so much, and Happy New Year.